Welcome to KnightCap. Sal International here with Will Montgomery following Army's 33-24 win over Ball State. The Black Knights improved to 2-3. They snap a 3-game losing streak here. Definitely a game they need to have today. They played it in the most of this game was played in the rain. Will, there was a little bit of sloppiness at the beginning. Coach Munkin said I guess he replaced starting quarterback A.J. Shore with Angel Santiago because there was some problems with the ball, and AJ missed a deep pass, a wide open play action pass down the field. Angel comes in the second quarter, and the Army offense did what it had to do. Game got close. They've lost the last two games in the fourth quarter to Wake Forest and Yale, and it just looked like it's 27-24 Ball State, and it looked like it was going to happen again. And then the Army gets a good drive going, and Angel finishes it off with a touchdown run, and then pretty much Jeremy Timp's third straight game with an interception. The coach and players talked about how hard they worked this week to win this game, and I guess it shows in the end where they can pull out a game like this and finish a game.
Yeah, that's really the takeaway for me from this game is that even though this is their second win of the year, it's really the first time they finished a game.
Yeah.
Even you look at the Buffalo game, that game was a blowout and turns into an 8-point game at the end. And I think this is really, the first game of the year that you can kind of walk away from the end and feel, that you finished this as a team. As you mentioned, the Timp interception was huge. And then they also, they got their first downs. They did what they needed to do to run out the clock.
Yeah.
And just kind of seal the deal.
Yeah, the game started with an Army turnover on the second play of the game. Chris Carnegie causes a fumble. He's in coverage in the flat against running back Jawan Edwards, and he causes the fumble. He recovers it in Ball State territory, and then you got A.J. Shore. Larry Dixon got him to about the goal line. A.J. Shore has a 1-yard touchdown run. A.J. had 2 1-yard touchdown runs today. Aaron Kemper chipped in with a touchdown run today, and it just Larry Dixon had a huge game. No touchdowns today, but career high 188 yards rushing, and he carried the ball 28 times. He was busy today. There were parts of the game where, especially a drive after Ball State scored cut the lead, where you didn't see Larry out on the field, you didn't see Edgar Poe out on the field, you didn't see Xavier Moss on the field, and the Army had a punt. And then once they got those core guys back on the field after Ball State cuts the lead to 3, then you get the touchdown drive. So, a pretty good win to build on. And now you look at the schedule, next week becomes a huge game. Rice comes to Michie Stadium. The energy here, I know the rain chased away a lot of the crowd today, but the energy from the players on the sideline today was notable. Everybody was into it. That Coach Munkin really fired up. It was pretty, they wanted this win pretty bad.
Yeah, but we were just noticing that in the press box. Coach Munkin is waving his arms, trying to get the crowd up. And how often do you ever see that from a head coach? Usually they're focused on the game. But, you had Munkin doing that. You had Terry Baggett was standing on the bench, whipping the towel over his head like he's the 15th man on the NBA bench, celebrating. They were just really seemed into it. And it was funny, in a lot of the post-game comments, both from the players and from Munkin, everybody talked about practice on Monday, and it seemed like maybe if there's some sort of turning point in the season, maybe it was Monday's practice, where because it just everybody seemed to mention it that was kind of a real big thing for this team, and whether that's the case or not, it certainly showed today.
Yeah, seeing how devastating that Yale loss in overtime was last week. To see them bounce back, and I saw the first a couple practices this week, and nobody was hanging their head down. Everybody was into it, and I think that, like what Coach Munkin said, if they could take that attitude into the rest of the season, into practices, and then if they play as hard as they practice, then they're going to be in games. And then when you learn how to finish games like today, like that drive that they went on, it was a 10-play, 75-yard drive. They got the ball off their touchback, and if they can finish games like that, who knows? There's still a lot the season is still kind of young. It's the way the schedule sets up. If they can somehow get to 3-3 next week against Rice, then you could be looking at playing winless Kent State on the road the next week, and then anything can happen in this season. There's still a lot to be done here by the team. This is just one win. It's just one win. It's a feel-good win, and let's see if they can actually put together a little streak here.
My question for you: seeing Shore start the game, scored 2 touchdowns on the ground himself, but did have some problems. Santiago comes in, doesn't really necessarily do anything special, but just kind of is a, just kind of does what he needs to do to, get Army the win here. Do we have a quarterback controversy where, it's going to be one guy over the other, or is it a system where, most of these guys are pretty equal in talent, and it's just, they have different strengths and they have different weaknesses, and when a game calls for one or the other, it's going to be their time to play. I mean, how do you see this playing?
I don't know. The way I see it, I think Coach Munkin's just going to go with his gut. He's going to start whoever practiced the best during the week, and if that guy doesn't get his job done during the game, he's not afraid to go to the other guy. And I think with Angel, the way he played, again, last week he got into the Yale game, did the same thing. He did not hurt the team when he was in there. He helped the team. And this week, again, he did not hurt the team. There were no turnovers with Santiago in the game, and he just he just ran the offense pretty well. He took his runs when they were there. He had I saw one of the late pitches he had. He got drilled on that pitch, and he still got the ball away. That's how you run the triple option offense. You hold it to the last point that you can, and then you pitch the ball. You saw a couple. You were noticing the fakes that he has, and they're just maybe a little bit subtle, but they can move the ball. They can help Army move the ball. I think that we'll see what happens in practice this week. I don't think that AJ Shore is not a kid that's lost in confidence. I don't think if Angel started next week against Rice, he's going to hang his head. I think he will prepare and be ready because he knows now that Munkin's going to go with I don't know if the hot hand, but maybe the sure hand. No pun intended. Maybe the sure hand, the guy he thinks is going to move Army the ball. So Coach Munkin said he didn't want to go with the quarterback, the two-headed quarterback, so to speak, the rotating quarterbacks. It's how it's turned out. It got them a win today, and we'll see how. I think he'll play as the game goes along next week against Rice. So we're going to sign off here after Army's big win here, 33-24 over Ball State. Next week, Rice Owls come to Mikey Stadium, noon kick on Saturday. Army looks to put together a winning streak. For NightCap, I'm Sal Internado with Will Montgomery.
And stay tuned after this. We'll throw in some clips from the press conference.
Just a lot of energy. I'm just extremely fortunate. You're going to look at that game, and all you're going to see are just 5 linemen, 6 linemen. They rotate the tight end. They just absolutely block their hearts out. And it's just I'm extremely fortunate to run behind them. And then the defense is just giving us a ton of energy. They're just out there making stops. You have Tardu putting the ball down inside the 1 yard line. There's just so much energy out there, and I've just been so fortunate to be a part of this team. And you just saw really the linemen step up and really take control of it. Like, we own the trenches. Ball State played their hearts out. They got there, they played extremely hard to the end, and just think we'll be behind that line.
Well, this week's practice, I would have to say it was the best week of practice we've had all year, and everybody's really hitting on the same page. D linemen, linebackers, safeties coming up to make tackles. I didn't have that many tackles, but I have to credit to the great plays from the D-line, and especially Andrew King leading our team with 10 tackles. He played phenomenal out there. Everybody was just connecting out there.
Honestly, it's a great feeling, but, it wasn't just me out there. It was definitely main credit goes to the whole line. Man, they just fired on all cylinders, and receivers were getting blocks down the field, and when you have, running backs, who run the ball hard and breaking many tackles throughout the run, it kind of makes, the quarterback's job much easier.
That's just one of the big things we talked about all practice is being aggressive, running the ball, especially on defense. Past couple games, we, besides Tim's pick six at Yale, we haven't had many turnovers. And that's one thing we harp on in practice, going to get the ball, getting the ball back to our offense. And that's just an opportunity to be aggressive with the ball.
I heard, I steal this line from Jimbo Fisher. I heard him say it before the national championship game last year. He said, you don't win a game on emotion, you win on execution. And he's right. You don't win on emotion alone. When you got guys that are executing their assignments and playing with good fundamentals and technique, and there's a lot of energy and there's a lot of emotion, which helps them to play as hard as they can play. And there is there's an excitement there. There's an intensity there that helps you execute those assignments and fundamentals a lot better. And I thought our guys were ready to go, and I just felt like they took the field and they were going to fight as hard as they could to win. Not that guaranteed we were going to win, but I think they weren't going to be denied victory when we got to that point where we had a chance to win. They were going to fight and give everything they got, and part of that energy comes from the environment you're in. And I think the Corps of Cadets is, having that group of 4,000 people is an opportunity for us to feed off of their energy and for them to feed off of us. And so I think that really was the motivation there, was to play with high intensity as well as playing with great execution and fundamentals.